Alrighty, Ruben, cuckoo to you and all my nobody's not watching out there. Hopefully I'll finish this tonight. I kinda just want to be done with it. I don't even care anymore. Like, Julia's disgusted me so much with herself as a character. And I just hope Dakota makes a happy living and life outside of this and escapes whatever Julia has brought down upon herself. It's so dumb that Julia didn't get to finish off Kaiser, and it's so sus that Kadir was like, no. It's like, didn't listen at all. Like, I don't think I fucked that up. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't even care. It's just like, Julia should have been able to finish off Kaiser because she shouldn't even have the opportunity. She should have already been so screwed. Just that should have been enough that she should have been like, Julia as a character would have been like, I'm not going back to the apartment. I'm not gonna, like, Julia as a character would have just abandoned Dakota, especially at that point, especially based on the extra stuff that happened afterwards. Julia would have just left, like, as a vampire, as a character, as everything. Really wasn't that dedicated to Dakota, and that's some bullshit in my mind, but that's what the character would have done. Because they would have known well enough, being part of the world of darkness and everything, that they didn't have survival anymore as an option based on the circumstances. They're not going to just, well, I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. It's like, no. This guy is not going to let it go. You're going to get screwed. You probably don't have a place to go back to. You should just pretend you're going home and then disappear. Figure it out. Go somewhere else. Just fucking lamb it. Go rogue, because you've basically stumbled upon this conspiracy to kill this other guy, and no one seems like they wanted you to find that, if he's at all honest. And if he's not, then why the fuck is he being protected? If he's a complete liar and he's just making it up, why did he make you torture him for it? And then why did he let you beat him up and all that? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. See, none of this makes any sense. None of the characters are acting how they should. None of it makes any sense to me. So I just, whatever, man. I don't even care. I just want to finish it. Just to be done, basically. So, anyway, let's go back. I think of these silhouettes that I keep spotting in the corner of my eye. No, I don't even want to imagine what that means. I feel what it means, and it makes me nauseous enough. I'm assuming she means that the silhouettes might be like spirits or something. I think of my clan, so closely tied to the Catholic Church. It's a loveless marriage, so to speak. Like, for example, the one between my parents. Yeah, no, yes, your clan and other clans, I think specifically the Giovanni, are also very highly tied into the Catholic Church, and there are reasons for it. It goes back to, you know, the Great Inquisition, you know, basically hunting for vampires, and certain vampires were better at blending in, and actually, I don't know enough about it, but there's a lot to say that vampires themselves guided the church towards other vampires to destroy, you know, sects or clans or bloodlines or whatever, or at least hunt them down and reduce their numbers and their influence and abscond their, you know, resources, specifically because they were guided by other vampires. Like, it just, there are certain clans that are entwined within the church, specifically Catholicism, but again, it's a make-believe world and all that stuff. I think about the great irony of the Lasombra's truce with the Holy See. We are the only ones who stay so close to the Lord's light, even though we're certain we will never, ever reach it. Are you the only ones? I don't think you are. I think you guys just... I think Lasombra, if I recall my proper lore, is that Lasombra were... They were kind of a smaller clan. I think they are a separation of the Giovanni, but maybe they just seem like that, but I think they were. And I think that they kind of took hold in a place, turned against the Giovanni, and then made their staple the Catholic Church, and then that sort of really helped them, and then they sort of, while everybody else is losing people, they're sort of pointing out where vampires are, and thus reducing the notice of them. And I don't know. That's just, I can't acclaim to that. I don't know that that's the case, because again, anything you ever read in the world of darkness is always like, well, that's what they say. Is that what actually happened? It's like, oh, everybody thinks Dracula was there, Vlad the Impaler Dracula. He's a Zamish. He's Ventru. He's all the clans want to claim him. It's like, obviously not the case. Some of us shadows have visions of comrades who departed this world recently, traveling through some abstract space, one that's disturbing and astonishing in equal measure. See, it just seems like you're just trying to talk, just speaking poetically, waxing poetic to try to not focus on the fact that you're almost certainly going to get destroyed soon. They almost reach whatever afterlife there is for our kind, but then get caught and consumed by a dark, monstrous silhouette. I don't think there is an afterlife. I think that's not for Canaanites specifically. I think you're already in the afterlife and you got yours. I think there might be some sort of exceptions, like Malkavians. At least a shadow of them, a part of them, it exists within the Madness Network, but there's also a lot to say that once they're gone, and that's not part of it anymore. There's other bloodlines, smaller sects or something that might have the chance to, and then there's a lot of fringe cases, but overall I'm pretty sure, like, you're damned. Like, Cainite lore, the Book of Nod isn't necessarily canon, but I kind of consider it canon. That doesn't mean it is. I don't know enough. I'm just saying, I think that it's large. There are other outside and fringe cases, like, or different ways to achieve similar circumstances, like with the Kindred of the East that are the Kuei-jin, I think, the Eastern vampires, but they're really not. They are not the same at all. They are not Cainites. I think Cainites are Cainites, Kuei-jin are Kuei-jin, and then there's other options and other things. And bloodlines can do that, and then theoretically you can worship a certain god or have a certain philosophy or a certain ability, and it might free you from this damned state as being a Cainite. But largely you're pretty well just fucked unless you get into one of those specific, unique exception camps. You're just screwed. There isn't anything else. Like, just because by default you're part of this lineage of damned individuals. you gotta earn your way out of it or get out of it in some other way. And usually that's not, it's definitely not easy, and the easiest way is just being staked. And honestly, I don't think it seems in the world of darkness that these vampires go to hell. I don't think, I'm not sure that that exists in the world of darkness, although I do believe it is a possibility. I just think it's not like a thing for mortals. But they're not mortals, and then that gets into all this other stuff. Anyway, I just think that they're screwed. There is no heaven for them. They don't get purgatory. They don't get anything. They just get to cease to exist, and that's it. They spent their whatever possible options that might have existed for them. You know, and again, you gotta consider all of humanity can be turned into a vampire at any time under the right conditions. And they all have all these different beliefs and systems and what heaven is, if there is a heaven, or if there's not, or whatever. And that's a factor in this world, but it also, the fact that they exist kind of proves that if you follow the Book of Nod and Canaanite lore, is that, well, you know, God exists, you're an abomination against God, which is why the sun destroys you. It's all very clearly written out. You don't have to believe it, it doesn't matter. You don't have to believe, you know, in oxygen, but if you're in a room without oxygen, you still suffocate, you know. Or filled with any other things. It doesn't have to be oxygen. You can suffocate. Your body needs oxygen as, you know, as a human anyway. And it could be filled with helium or nitrogen or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean you don't have to believe in oxygen or even know what it is. It still happens. This is sort of that, but in a spiritual sense. So. The rumor is our antediluvian wasn't stopped by his final death. He's still out there, behind the shadows, taking revenge on our patricide, feeding on us like Saturn devouring his children. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you guys are not that old of a clan. Like, I know that, you know, it's like the 13 clans, but it's like, I don't think you guys are one of, like, I think the original clans, like the top 3, are basically like Ventru, Toreador, and Bruja. I think Bruja came a little later. I don't know. I think there's a lot of discrepancies in how it's told. I know that Malkavians are up there. And they're like sister to Toreador. It's like, which clan was first? I think I would say Ventru. Even if that wasn't true, I'm sure they would still. That's like what people just accept. I know that Nosferatu happened, I know that Malkavians happened, and I don't think that they happened immediately. I think it doesn't really matter, and the reality is, I don't think that the Sombra were some of those first clans, but maybe they were. And each clan has their own thing, what they talk about. Oh, you know, this is, you know, like, oh, if we had an antediluvian, this is what happened to them. And I don't know what happened to all of them. I know that the Tremere are a newer clan because they basically created themselves by being wizards and then stealing the power of the blood and sort of being like, don't fuck with us, we're fucking scary. And they fucking are. Like, we can make your blood explode. And it's like, oh, okay. And then they formed a very logical, basically like pyramid scheme to keep themselves protected. where it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, you guys are kind of outsiders and no one trusts you, and you know that, but they still have to deal with you, and you can sort of, it's like, they make sense to me. It's like, I don't agree with it. They sort of stole their power, but whatever. Then the Nosferatu and the Malkavians, they all kind of have like, oh, well, you guys are just kind of screwed. It's like, same with Gangrel. So many clans changed over time. Were one way, then became another. It's complicated. As Dakota would say, it might not be factual, but it is an emotional truth. From joining the Camarilla to panically scrambling for any safe houses, like our elders were solely motivated by fear. Again, I just don't feel like the Lasombra are really that old of a clan. Or if they were like a small bloodline that like did a good job just staying under the radar where stuff happened, and then got into Catholicism and sort of used that against others and used the church while the Inquisition was going on. The sins of our fathers are catching up with them. It's a young kindred like me who are given responsibility to clean up their mess with a constant sense of doom looming over the horizon. I just don't think that, like, the Lasombra care too much about their childer. I think that despite the fact that they don't have a large population, I think they pretend to be other clans when they can, because you could. And it's like, the Lasombra are like a ghost. It's like, they're not like a total, you know, like, oh, it's a fiction. It's just one of those, like, tall tales. It's just a ghost story. It's like, no, they exist. I think that they think that the smaller their population, the stronger their power is in the blood. And they know that they get hunted down. And the truth is, they're like super affected by light, I think. Like, sunlight is like, does extra damage to them, which sunlight's pretty much 86. Any vampire. Any vampire is pretty much screwed unless you're like low enough generation or something special going on. They're just that much more screwed. Like, they don't even get, like, they're pretty much just instant bam. You know, like, oh, fine, that's it. Like, they don't get like a little bit of time to maybe get out of the way and then just deal with the damage. They're pretty much just fucking fucked. And then they also have this whole tech stuff, which is just so much worse. It just doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. We don't talk about salvation anymore. We're just minimizing the impact of damnation. That's no way to live, but then again, maybe that's why they call it unlife. See, this just seems like you're just talking and talking. Shit, it's Benoit. Hello there, lost sheep. I'll have you know this shepherd was extraordinarily patient in waiting for you. Benoit, I don't want to do with you, man. Like, I just don't want to. What are you doing here while the night is so young? Out for blood? Well, you're in luck. This place offers both the body and the blood. Yes, yes, yes. You want to give me some wafers and some wine? If missionaries learned their methods from pickup artists, they would all be like this guy. That is fair. That is a fair thing to say. I'm not in the mood, you sorry-ass bum. Step away from me, or you're gonna be sorry. Oh my. Something troubling you? If so, I can arrange a confession. Or, if you're in a hurry, keep in mind, the path from inner turmoil begins with a friendly ear. And I've got one right here. Karawan Jebina Toja. You want me to fuck you up, don't you? Don't you? I don't know if Karawan Jebina Toja means something. I assume it does, but I don't know. Julia, as you should know by now, I always interpret this kind of response to preaching as divine as the devil stirring inside. Is that what this is, Julia? The liar and the father of lies has got a hold of your soul? If so, give me a signal, even the smallest one. I'll do my best to spot it. Like, bro, go away. Something swells up inside my chest. I recognize the feeling. The handbrake just broke. I'm definitely not on the level. I'm not on level ground. Fuck, here we go! Here we go! Listen, I've had enough, alright? Enough. Enough of your sanctimonious attitude, enough of your brazen lack of basic empathy, enough of your dumb, ugly fucking mug. You're a fucking singularity of stupidity, tastelessness, and cringe. I met all sorts of horrible shitheads and assheads this week, and somehow none of them got under my skin the way you do. You motherfucker. Like a goddamn Jehovah's Witness going door to door, except you always knocking on my fucking skull going, hey, do you know God exists? Have you heard that God exists? Like, hold on, hold it right there. When did I ever say God exists? Thinking back, can't recall him ever saying that. I can say that he said some stuff about other people reflecting the light of God, or like being an example of God, or their belief in God, or something like that, but I don't think he ever once said God exists in any such plain way. What? I said, what makes you think I believe God exists? Oh, now you're just fucking with me. No, I'm serious. Well, you sound serious, at least. I'm actually speechless. I think there's been some sort of silly misunderstanding that desperately needs to be cleared up. I'm all ears. I sure hope so, Julia. I feel like you must have ignored half of what I've been saying for you to reach these conclusions. It's very well possible, actually. It usually takes 15 seconds of him for talking to get me completely zoned out. So to avoid any further mix-ups, I will go back to the beginning and explain the core of my religious beliefs, okay? So, I love the Catholic imagery. I cherish the tradition and lore. I adore the practices, the intricacies of the theology, the messages contained in the Bible. Of course I do. Does that mean I believe that one day I will see the big dad in the sky? Forgive me, Lord, but I don't think so. It doesn't sound very likely, especially for the bloodthirsty creature of the night. He's like, I am a vampire. Like, it doesn't mean that I can't be a missionary for the concept, but that also doesn't mean that I think that God exists, but also doesn't mean that I don't think. I feel like he's trying to play the not the field, but the fence. You know, that like those who ride the fence. So that's what this is about. Fun imagery? That's overly simplified, but yes, I suppose you could say that. Motherfucker, you ain't Catholic. You're just a weirdo cosplayer. Says a non-practitioner who still wears a cross. Yeah, but I don't shove it down people's throats for fun in my spare time. I'm simply trying to share the joys of religion has brought to my own life with others. What joys? Oh, where to start? Well, when there are so many. The joy of having plainly understandable rules to follow, the joy of having a structure to your life, the joy of always knowing where to find people who share your values. Above all, it's the joys of being an aristocracy, surround oneself with exquisite, luxurious architecture, beautiful classical music, ornate rituals, formalizing our actions and relationships, a pursuit of virtue separating you from the masses, the hierarchies, the communities, all serving an idea greater than themselves. It's like monarchy or some Camarilla traditions, but not as gauche. It's just like, I feel like Julia's going to be like, man, I want to have holy water in my hand right now, just to, or, you know, like a vial, and just splash you with it. Because I don't think it would do anything, but just like, if it was in a coffee cup, it would just be like insulting. And then force you to eat like a wafer and some communion wine, just because fuck you, dude. So that's what it was. You saw pretty paintings and building and thought, hell yeah, I want in. And then you just decided what they mean to you. I feel like his answer is going to be like, Dodoy? Like, yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's real faith that brought me to the fold, but eventually I whittled down this religion to its core. That's to what interests me. It's like, dude, I do not want to talk about the whittled down Catholicism faith, man. Please don't. Don't drag me there. I don't want to go there. Unbelievable. You keep saying this word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Pulling that shit on Julia now, because I just really don't like it that much. But don't think for a second I wasn't empathetic when I was trying to convert you. You are the embodiment of the existential despair surrounding us. The one that people usually try to drown out with drugs, sex, Netflix, pick your poison. I mean, you could Netflix and chill, but I'm Tisk, and they could have all that shit. All of them. Temporary cups. Empty yourself. Kill your ego. Get a routine. Join a community. Ground your morality in something tangible. Start perceiving yourself as a part of something greater. Bro, you are just a really weak cult leader that doesn't want to start his own thing. Or does, but wants to do it under the banner of something that's already been doing the thing. All of it good advice by itself, but codified in an appealing, otherworldly aesthetic. One that keeps the beast at bay. One you're almost fitting into the way you are. What's there to hate? He's just like, I guess his thought there is that he's saying that it's like, no. If you have this rule, you got all these rules, you got this concept, this belief system, it can help you manage the beast. And that in its own sense, I can kind of see and sort of agree with. Like, it prevents you from just being terrible, I guess. And then prevents the beast, you know, you have more control, like self-control, I guess. Maybe? I don't know. Unbelievable. You're a goddamn lunatic. He looks to the sky. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Yeah. Fucking slap him in the face and be like, you just said, like 5 minutes ago, you don't necessarily believe in God. You made that very clear. Like, don't say that if you don't actually, like, don't do that. That's so, you're sending mixed signals, and God would know, right? Like, stop that. Your entire ideology is just aesthetics, you fucking loon. And how exactly do I differ from anyone else nowadays in this regard? Because as an undead creature that's supernaturally existing, you should theoretically have a deeper understanding of the potential aspect of the truth. This is either you are damned and God exists and you're trying to redeem yourself, or it just lean into nihilism, or that there's a different answer that does not involve what Catholicism defines as God. Like, bro, like, you happen to be somebody who has you know, the VIP backstage access to some degree. Stop arguing semantics. No, you stop.